Good morning. It's been a while since I've put any videos up, and the reasons for that are basically all on my other channel. If you haven't seen that, check it out. Go to my homepage on this channel, and you'll see the channel linked in there. Basically been building a motorhome, doing a lot of traveling, etc, etc. So today, coming from you from a small town in the middle of China, and we'll be here for the next 3 months. Unfortunately, I don't have a bike with me, but hey, ni hao. Well, I don't know who this guy is, but unfortunately I don't have a bike with me, but I have hired an electric bike, so doing a bit of running around on that. And today I'm just going to give you a bit of a video on just tips on riding in Asia, and this applies to riding push bikes as well as electric bikes. So let's get into it, and I'll take you for a spin around with me. By the way, I'm Jason, and that's my bike that I've hired off some random guy down the road. So staying with my wife's family here. We're staying at her brother's house, but most of her family live around in this compound here. There's about 35 buildings here. You can see you've got some taller ones around here. There's about 8 11-story buildings in the middle, and then the rest of them are about 6 stories. And out of those 6-story buildings, you've got about 24 apartments in each building. So 35 times 24 plus the extras for the 11-story buildings, you get an idea of how big this compound is. And yeah, this is a small Chinese town, so a long way off what you see in the big cities. Anyway, let's get out onto the road and have a bit of a look around at how crazy things get here. So yeah, I'm in China. This applies to places like Bali, Thailand, anywhere where you might be getting on a bike in Asian countries, because everybody rides with pretty much the same sort of attitude. And one thing you got to be careful of is thinking that you are a legend, and that you can ride better than everybody else because everybody's so slow. And look, there's reasons why people ride slowly. And that's for self-preservation, funnily enough. So one thing that will become quite evident when you're watching this video is that people don't look sideways when they're riding or driving. Everybody's focused straight ahead, looking at where they want to go, and they're just doing what they want to do, right? It's a very much a me mentality. You've got to keep that in mind, right? So in Western countries such as Australia or anywhere else, put a lot of faith in people actually following the road rules. So we'll go barreling through an intersection because we have right of way. Now that doesn't hold true in Asian countries, because just remember, everybody's running on the me mentality, and so the fact that I've got a green light here doesn't mean that I've got right of way. It means that some other guy also thinks he's got right of way. He's going to do whatever the hell he wants. So you've got to ride and drive very defensively. You've got to keep your eyes all over the place, and you've got to expect random things to happen all the time. So as I said, this is a relatively small town, and as a result, the traffic's not really all that bad. You get into some of the bigger cities, and where you've got millions and millions of people, and things are a little chaotic. Around here, we've probably only got several 100,000 people, so it's a little bit quieter, and you don't get as much of the insanity going on as you do in some of the bigger cities. Touched on the attitude of yourself, basically, and thinking that you're a better rider than everyone else. And odds are you probably are, right? Because a lot of the people are very average. But people are riding slowly out of self-preservation, because things like this, you just saw that guy pull out a side street. This guy's just randomly done a U-turn in front of everybody. Nobody really, like I said, nobody's looking sideways, nobody's looking backwards. They're all just focused on what they need to do, and unless you're in their forward peripheral view, you're kind of unseen. So you really got to be very careful. Riding fast is not a good idea in a lot of cases. A lot of the time you're far better off just pacing yourself and sticking with the flow of the traffic. Obviously, once you've had a good look around and work out no one's going to kill you, then you can sort of blast ahead and you get a move on. But you've got to be careful of this sort of stuff too, right? So people will just randomly ride on the wrong side of the road just because it's convenient for them. Again, me mentality. And it happens a lot, and it's not just bikes, it's cars as well. So that's something seriously to watch out for. not sure whether you're allowed to go around corners on red lights in China or what, but everybody does it anyway, and again, they won't look when they're doing it. So if you've got a green light, you're going straight ahead. You've got to be prepared for someone to come whipping around the corner and pull in front of you. Whenever you come up to a set of traffic lights, if you've got a green light, be cautious. Now I've got a green arrow and there are people heading in every direction, including straight ahead. She's nearly got me. Yeah, red lights are a bit of a guide. Generally speaking, if people see a red light, they're coming up to it, but they can't see any cars, they'll shoot through. Usually the bikes will do that. So you've got to be real careful of that, and that's why you slow down for intersections regardless of whether or not you've got a green light. Because other people aren't necessarily going to stop. Bit of an example there of people taking the turn on the red light. If you look at that there, you could see their heads weren't turning sideways. They didn't even look to see if anyone was coming straight ahead. Also be a little bit cautious when you're passing vehicles as well, because they can randomly do a U-turn. But also oncoming vehicles, they may be swerving to miss someone that's randomly pulling out from the side. So make sure you give everybody heaps of elbow room when you're passing. Don't close pass, because you will get hit by someone doing something totally random. I've got a car trying to squeeze his way past me at the moment. It helps to have mirrors, be very, very aware of what's coming up behind you. Nice intersection there, in she comes. No worries, another one here, cutting the corner, try and get around. Okay, we're off. Random pedestrians. So you might be wondering why I'm wearing a mountain bike helmet. I'm riding a electric motorbike. We went to about 5 shops looking for helmets, and this was the best one, basically. And this one actually has a little bit of polystyrene padding in there. It's probably got about 15mm of padding in it. So we grabbed one of those for my wife. Not that I value her head less than mine, but we needed something. Barely anyone wears a helmet around here. I believe they are compulsory, as I have seen police checks, and we managed to get through a roadblock because we were both wearing helmets. So I think it's worthwhile. But if you're going to try and buy one over here, it might be a bit of an effort to try and find an actual proper helmet. I figured that I was probably safer off with this one rather than buying one of those little cheap, crappy looking things. And that was the best one we could find. It had polystyrene in it. So if you are buying one here, check them very thoroughly. A lot of them had no padding inside at all. It was just a double layer plastic case. Bring your own from Australia. Probably the biggest reason to ride defensively and be ultra careful is really to avoid getting into an accident. Now, in Asian countries, there is a bigger problem than the accident itself, right? Now, you're the foreigner, right? Don't speak their language, so you're going to have issues communicating when something goes wrong, right? Now, another part of that is that a lot of the Asian countries, people aren't all that well paid, obviously. We're clearly financially a fair bit better off than most of the people are. And you'll probably get taken advantage of, right? So I have had stories of people, friends of mine, getting caught up in a very minor incident, but then being basically pillaged for hundreds of dollars to repair for damage that really didn't cost that much, but you end up having to buy your way out of a problem. And the police are unlikely to side with you if the police even turn up. You don't see a lot of police around in Asian countries, and they're not likely to side with a foreigner. So you've got to keep that in mind. You also want to keep in mind that in some countries you can get a bit of a mob mentality happening, and if you start gathering a crowd after an accident and making a bit of a scene, the crowd is not going to side with you. You're going to find yourself in a bit of grief, so you want to be really careful of that. One of the other key takeouts of that is don't get aggressive. And yeah, I struggle with this one too. When you're riding on the roads and people are doing stupid things, you just want to yell out at them, you dumbass. And believe me, there's plenty of dumbasses. But you really got to try and contain it, because you are in a foreign country and you're not going to get any backup support. You're more likely to get an angry mob coming after you. So, try and keep you cool. People are going to do stupid things. Just get it in your head every time you get behind the handlebars. Say to yourself that I'm going to encounter many stupid things today, because you will, and just deal with it, right? This is me preaching, but bloody hell, I struggle with it, because the amount of stupidity you see on the road, drives you crazy. Yep, red light. but we're going straight through. Riding on footpaths, that's a thing, so be prepared for that if you're walking around, if you're being a pedestrian, but also if you are riding on the footpath, don't be like everybody else, just take it easy and give way to pedestrians. Crikey, I mean really. So many times I've nearly been cleaned up by people flying down the footpath. Righto, yeah, you've not got a green. Hey, that's a screamer. Hey, he's coming over. Last minute decision. You see as we're heading into the colder weather, everybody's starting to fit their little weather shields, wind shields under the front of their bike. They go over your handlebars so your hands are nicely protected. Kind of obvious thing to talk about is licensing. Now, this is going to vary by country, and I only have experience with Thailand and China. Now, if you're riding an electric bike like I am, you don't need a license apparently, so I've been told. These little things that are limited power and limited speed don't require a license. Once you got to a petrol powered bike, I think you need to have a license. I think the easiest way to work it out is if you've got a number plate, you've got to have a license. So I'm riding something without a number plate. Thailand, electric bikes don't really exist. They're all petrol powered scooters, so and you need a license for that. Now, of course, in Thailand you can use an international license, but what you've got to watch is that you've actually got a motorbike license in your home country, right? So, and they will check that in Thailand, particularly around the bigger tourist centres like Pattaya and Phuket. Be very careful of that. And also they check for helmets in Thailand. As I said before, China, we did have a helmet check the other day. Vietnam, I know they regularly do helmet checks there. You'll see in Vietnam most people do wear these little cheap throwaway helmets. But I think the message is don't just assume you can go and ride on your own license. Do your own checks. Make sure if you need an international driver's license like you do in Thailand, make sure you get one, because again, it's not worth being pulled up and given a fine, even though the fines aren't much. It's not worth the grief. Just do it right. As I stop at this red light, watching everybody else just cruise on through, don't be tempted to follow them. I mean, really, do the right thing. One thing to watch here, and this is China specific, you'll see here that we just got the green arrow, but that doesn't mean that you've got right of way. Actually, the whole intersection's got green lights at the same time, so despite thinking that you've got a green arrow and the road's clear for you, it's not. So just be a little bit cautious until you get a feel for how the lights are working in the city that you're in at the time. So that's about it. I guess if we're going to sort of summarise some of the key points, I think my number one tip is really don't try and be a hero. Don't try and show off and show how well you can ride, because you'll end up coming unstuck. And you see it regularly. You actually even see it on the news, how people are belting around on their motorbikes through the traffic thing. They're a bit of a legend and they get caught out, because things are different over here. Number two, be patient. Don't be angry like me. Just accept the fact that people are slow and possibly even a little bit stupid, but just deal with it, okay? Don't get abusive, don't get in your road rage state of mind. Just take it easy and go with the flow. And number three, just be safe. Stay out of hospital. You really don't want to go there, because the hospitals aren't too crash hot, and you certainly don't want to have the grief of getting in an accident, having to deal with the language barriers, and basically being thrown in jail for being a foreigner. So anyway, have fun, enjoy yourself, stay safe, and keep out of trouble. See you later.